Hi friends, let's talk about classroom signals to use in elementary music. These are nonverbal ways to bring students' focus back on track. So we will look at some research about how much class time teachers spend talking and what the impact of that is on student attention, and then how classroom signals can kind of bring us all back together. There are timestamps below so you can skip to whatever section you are interested in. This is a 2022 study from Psychology of Music where the researchers wanted to know how elementary music teachers spent their class time. And the teachers in this study reported that they really valued singing and playing and moving and all of these things during elementary music classes. But after the researchers actually tracked how these teachers were spending their time, do you want to know what they found? The teachers in this study spent their class time talking. Talking was the largest category of teacher actions out of every other category of behaviors that the researchers measured, like singing and moving and playing instruments. And that's essentially the same thing that a previous study found. This was published in the Journal of Research in Music Education. And in this study, the researcher wanted to know how music teachers spent their time compared to the national standards for music education. And again, when that time data came back, the largest category of teacher action was talking. And if you're like me, that finding can be a little bit surprising on its surface, given just how much elementary music teachers value active learning. But then when I step back, it actually makes a lot of sense because I have videoed myself teaching, and I am also astounded at how much I talk in the classroom as well. You've probably also experienced, like I have, that the more we talk, the more students tend to zone out. And I don't have a music-specific study for this, but we do have some interesting research from outside music, this time from a first grade math class in Chile. And these researchers for this study, they tracked student attention by having first grade students wear these glasses with these tiny cameras in them. So the researchers could see where students' attention, visual attention, was going over the course of the lesson. One of the findings was that higher achieving students, they gave the teacher more visual attention than lower achieving students. The lower achieving students were not looking at the teacher as much. Another thing that was interesting in this study is that as class went on, the more the teacher talked, the less visual attention students gave the teacher just across the board, right? So the longer we talk, the less, or in this study, the longer the teacher talked, the less attention they got from students. But the big finding from this study was that when the teacher used gestures and nonverbal communication, things like proximity, all students paid more attention, whether they were low achieving or high achieving, lower achieving or higher achieving. All of their attention went up. So, to summarize this, elementary music teachers might spend a lot of class time talking, maybe even more than we realize. And that's not good because students probably pay less attention to us the more we talk. But the good news is that hand signals, nonverbal communication in general, are things that potentially have a lot of power to bring student focus back on track. So with all of that in mind, let's think about some classroom hand signals and attention signals. With hand signals, we're going to ask, what am I saying over and over that I could sign instead? So here's a quick list of things that are helpful to me, but definitely we will all have our own lists and variations on this list. So the first one for me is sit and stand. I use these signs multiple times every single class. So sit and stand are big ones for me. I also have a cue for us to get back into a circle if we've gone off, into a different formation. This is my sign for a circle. And normally we're doing this, I'll sing something as I'm showing this sign and students sing while they move back to a circle. Another one that I use very often is whoosh, turn to a partner. This is normally for like a turn and talk kind of moment, but it could also be for an instrumental activity or something like that. So those are the main ones that I use pretty much every single class. There are also some that I use specifically for instruments. So going to rest position, that's a big one. And then I used to go like this for students to take their mallets and put them on top of the instrument. But recently I have pencil holders that I have put on the sides of my barred instrument. And so I needed a different signal because we were not going to put them on top of the bars. Now we were going to put them on the sides. So when I introduced this, I said, hey, can you guess what this means? And students said, oh, yep, we know exactly what to do. So that was nice because it was kind of intuitive for them. And again, the question here is, what am I saying over and over that I could sign? Let's talk about attention signals. Our classrooms have a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of movement and a lot of noise, and we need some sort of signal to students that it's time for them to quiet their voices and quiet their bodies and turn their attention to us. There are 3 categories of attention signals in my mind, and those are based just on what I need that attention signal to do for us in the classroom. And what I mean is, do students need to hear that attention signal or see that attention signal and immediately drop what they're doing and be still and silent right away? Is it kind of like a snap to attention kind of thing? That's one category in my mind. Or is there time for them to finish the sentence that they're saying or finish whatever it is they're playing and then bring their attention to me? That's kind of a different category. So let's talk about immediate attention first. For me, this is the classic, the tried and true clap, 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 and students echo it back. And as soon as they are done echoing it back, they need to be completely still, completely silent. So what I like about this is the clap cuts through the noise. It requires a response from students, right? Because they need to clap it back, and it doesn't involve us using our voice at all. The other thing about this is that since it is such a cliche attention getter, most likely we don't even need to teach it. Students kind of just know it from being in school. The thing that we might need to kind of reteach is just the expectation that as soon as the clap response is back, the class is totally, totally silent. In other situations, though, we might not need that immediate snap to attention that we get with the clapping back and forth. In that case, something like a body percussion sequence or the thumbs up signal is a good option. So body percussion sequence is, I just give you a pattern and some students will echo, and I'll give you another one. Some more students are echoing. A few more students are echoing, and then eventually, the more we do this, students get more and more on board. This is like a ripple effect throughout the classroom as students realize what's going on. The other option for me is just to put my thumb in the air. And I started doing this because I didn't want to yell over students, and the clapping, body percussion stuff, that was adding more noise to the classroom, and I was kind of trying to get the noise to stop. So I was looking for something a little bit different. So with this, I put my thumb in the air and students stop whatever it is they're doing when they see my thumb in the air, and they put their own thumb in the air as well. And while I'm doing this, I'm counting just out loud, regular speaking voice, not counting over anyone, just quietly counting 1, 2, 3, 4 for as long as it takes to get the whole class on board. And then I take that number and I just write it on the board. And we are trying to get the number to be smaller every time. There's a third category of attention signals in my mind that I think is probably worth mentioning. And that is just to sing the next song in the lesson or sing whatever song it is we're working on in the lesson. So in a situation where we are playing a singing game, like let's imagine Button You Must Wonder is what we're singing, and students are talking in between rounds. Sometimes the best attention signal is just to start the next round of the song. We don't necessarily need to wait for the class to be silent before we start the next round of this game. We start the game and then they join in. And again, we're not trying to sing over anyone. We are not trying to strain our voice. We just start the song. Or if students are doing a creative movement activity and it's time for us to, all come back together, we can start singing that main song while we look at some students and give them the sign for a circle like we talked about earlier. And those groups of students are going to notice, they sing, they get into the circle, we look at a few more groups, they're going to notice. There's kind of this ripple effect, except for probably there's one group who does not notice a thing. And for them, I just walk over and I get, kind of closer proximity to them. Eventually, we are all standing in a circle and singing. So I share that to say sometimes we need everyone's attention right away. And for me, that's the clap, 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 clap. Sometimes we do need everyone's attention, but there's some flexibility in the timing. And for me, that is thumbs in the air, thumb in the air, and I start counting. And sometimes those attention signals actually interrupt the lesson even more. Sometimes those attention signals slow down our pacing, which naturally makes it even harder for students to give us their attention. So sometimes we get students' attention just by keeping the lesson moving. Our musical material in the lesson plan takes care of that attention piece for us. Students have a lot of verbal information that they have to take in and process throughout the day. And as teachers, like we already talked about, we spend a lot of our time giving students that verbal information, right? So classroom signals, nonverbal communication, they are a really simple routine that benefit everyone. If you want to streamline more of your routines in your music classroom, I will link a video up next about an entrance procedure for elementary music.